All right, everyone, I'm going to do a video talking about ceramic coating pricing. And the reason that this video is being recorded right now is because Detail Mentor is a subscriber-driven program. And there was actually a couple subscribers that got on the discussion boards and said, hey, this is something that we're struggling with and we need help with. So I had a production schedule. I had other videos that I was set to record this morning, but instead we're talking about ceramic coating pricing because it's not about me. This program is not about me. It's about you and you having the tools you need to make your business more successful. So with ceramic coating pricing, there's several things to cover here before we get deep into this. First of all, whenever we talk about pricing for ceramic coatings, know that there is going to be incredible variance based upon geographical location. That's going to be huge. It's not just going to be a part of it. It's going to be a huge, huge difference. So I'm going to give you some examples of my pricing and what I charge for some of my coatings. Now, be aware that I am a certified installer with the company Gtechniq, and I do have to maintain certain pricing standards with what I sell. So that does play into it. Whereas if you're selling a consumer grade coating, you're not going to be held to those same standards. You're going to have a lot more leeway to go one way or the other with what you are offering as a coating package. And if you do decide to become certified with a company, that opens a whole different can of worms. So for a majority of the coating packages that I sell, I do a one-stage paint correction unless upon inspection of the vehicle, I find that it really, really needs two steps or multi-steps. And then I say, well, we either need to do this or we're just not going to be able to do the service, especially if they're having a professional grade coating applied that's going to be there, permanently for all intents and purposes. So that being said, a majority of the coatings I do are one-stage corrections, and then I lay the coating down. So for a 2-year coating, depending on the size of the vehicle, now remember, I'm in a very small rural area, I normally charge anywhere from $500 to $700, and some people that's really low, some people that's somewhat high, but I've found that's kind of the sweet spot in my marketplace for a 2-year coating with one stage of paint correction. And at that price, depending on the size of the vehicle, I can still make around $500 profit for a single day's work. Now remember, I'm just doing a one-stage paint correction, so I'm going over the entire vehicle one time, doing a full, complete, 6 to 8 section passes on each section that I do, but going around the vehicle one time and trying to get as much cut and finish out of the vehicle as possible in one step. So I have a whole different pile of pads and products that I use whenever I do this to try to get the best result in this one step. But generally that one step can take me anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. So if you count about 1.5 to 2 hours for wash and clay bar, then 4 to 6 for the polishing step, and then about 2 hours for the wipe down and the chemical removal of all the polishing oils with panel wipe, and then laying down the Gtechniq XL, which is a 2-year coating I sell. I'm usually around 8 to 12 hours total for that service. So on average, I make anywhere between $50 to $75 an hour whenever I do a 2-year coating. And for some people that's not that much. Where I live in rural southern Illinois, that's a ton of money. I'm making a really, really good living because the cost of living here is very, very low. So I can tap into that market and provide my clients with a lower cost option for that price. Now, whenever I'm doing like a 2-stage paint correction, I'm usually charging $800 to $1,000 just for the correction work, because it often goes into a second day, because I spend a lot of time on the vehicles that I do. So for instance, if someone comes to me and they have a Dodge Challenger and they're wanting a 2-stage paint correction, and then they're wanting, Crystal Serum Professional put on it, that's going to be anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 depending on the condition of the vehicle and whether 2 steps is really going to do it. If they're wanting anything done on the interior, etc. So I would say in general, your price range, depending on the coating you're doing and the correction work you're doing, should be anywhere from $500 to $2,500, depending on how much work you're doing to it. So what is our litmus test? What is the litmus test for you, and what's really going to help you out with this? Remember when we were talking about pricing, and I said, you need to make on average between $400 to $600 a week or a day. This is the same thing with ceramic coating pricing. You need to be making sure that you are putting a minimum of $400 to $600 a day in your pocket, like actual profit from the ceramic coating job. So you're going to have to count your expense. If you're using a more expensive coating, which is why I kind of really love the Gtechniq line, because it's very affordable compared to some coatings out there. I mean, I can get a bottle of Gtechniq EXO, a 50 ml bottle, for around $60, and I can usually do 2 to 3 vehicles with that single bottle. So my cost is very low on a majority of these coatings compared to some other products out there. If you're doing something similar to that, and you're doing the 2-year coating with EXO, you can easily be doing coatings from anywhere from $500 to $800. I think that's a good price range. It's a good value. And then that leaves you enough meat on the bone that even if you're not like a certified Gtechniq installer, if you wanted to upsell them to Crystal Serum Light, which is around a 5-year coating, you can go ahead and upsell them. So you can say, okay, I can do the 1-stage correction in 2-year coating with EXO for $600, or we can do the 5-year coating and we can get you some more durability with Crystal Serum Light, and that would be $900. See what I did there? I just added $300 of pretty much profit. The Crystal Serum Light's a little bit more expensive product, but I just added $300 worth of profit by switching that and saying, well, we could get you a little more durability if you want to pay $300 more. And the thing about Crystal Serum Light, and I'm not just trying to push the Gtechniq coatings, but I'm trying to give you examples that you're going to really be able to dig your teeth into, and you can kind of apply this to whatever coating that you're applying. But the thing about Crystal Serum Light is it takes just about as long to apply Crystal Serum Light as it does EXO. So you're not taking more time, you're spending a little more on product, but you're making significantly more money. And then you can even throw it for additional upsell to them and say, well, if you really want the best finish that I can offer, I can do the Crystal Serum Light, and then we can add the EXO on top of it, and it's going to make it even more hydrophobic. That would add another $200 to the Crystal Serum Light cost. So you've went from $600 to $900 to $1,100 in one fell swoop here, just by having different options and different upsells available. And that's one of those things, if you're just selling one basic like 2-year coating, that's great for entry level, but long term you're going to have to think, how can I get more options in the pricing that I am offering? So for a 2-year coating, I think $500 to $800 is a really good budget-minded starting point. And I say budget-minded in the fact that not everyone's going to want to break the bank on a $1,500 coating or on a $1,200 coating or even a $1,000 coating, but I would rather do 50 $600 coatings than to do 5 $1,000 coatings and turn away those other 45 people that just didn't need the 5-year coating. They didn't need the more expensive coating. And I love 2-year coatings because you don't have the ridiculous expectations of the 5-year the coatings, the 7-year coatings, and so forth, to where you really have to get that paint as defect-free as possible before you lay it down, because it's just not that big of a commitment. You know, a couple years from now, whenever it starts to get to the end of its life cycle, you can correct the paint again and reapply the product. It's not that big a deal. And let's throw this out there with pricing options. The reason you want to have a in my opinion, lower cost option is because not everyone needs the slam bang wowza powza full correction and coating. A lot of these people, they want the car to look better, they want it to look clean and shiny, and they want it to be vastly improved. I had a coating that I did for a lady. She's been a customer of mine most of this year now. She had a brand new Nissan Rogue, and I did a full shebang coating on it, and she had an older Nissan Altima that she was going to give to her son. She brought it to me. She's like, I'm going to give him a birthday gift. I want to get it looking a lot better, and I want to put some sort of coating on it. So we did the G-Technique EXO one-stage correction for around $500. It took me about 6-7 hours-ish because the car had really soft clear coat. I was able to correct it real quick, and she was absolutely blown away. She didn't want a full correction. She didn't want a 5-year coating. She didn't want a 7-year coating. She wanted it to look better and be protected for a couple years, and that's the option that I gave her and a price that went with that option. So I know this is going to go against the grain of some people's thoughts on ceramic coatings, is that this is premium, you need to charge a ton for this. If you're charging $1,200, $1,500 for a 2-year coating, you are vastly restricting the market that is going to be available to buy that coating. And not because they can't afford it, simply because they don't need it or they don't want it. So I've set my coating packages up and my pricing up to where, $500 to $800, really nice one-stage correction, 2-year coating, gonna make the vehicle beautiful, easier to clean, easier to maintain. 5-year coating, Crystal Serum Light. We're going to have to do more correction work to this. We're going to have to make sure the paint's pretty spot on. Crystal Serum, 7-year coating. We're going to have to make sure this paint is pretty darn near flawless before we lay this coating down. And you've got $500 to $800, $800 to $1,200 for the Crystal Serum Light, and then $1,000 to $2,500 for the Crystal Serum Pro. See how I broke that down to where they have a lot of reasonable options in pricing and packages so that I can meet the needs of the client. Not as concerned about the budget, more concerned about meeting the needs of the client so they get what they need. When it comes to more specific pricing issues, we're going to probably have to address that in the forums. I can give you some guidelines on here, and I can give you some ranges and tell you what I do, but when it comes to really specific pricing issues, I would much rather we discuss that in the forum, not even like person to person, but in the forum so that other people can glean off of that information, because the type of coating, the type of correction, the demographic, all of that is going to cause wild variance, but at least this is going to give you a basic range in the way of thinking that has caused me to drive my coating sales so wild and crazy because I have so many different options that I offer to the clients when it comes to coatings. With everything else, I have very restricted options, but when it comes to coatings, I want to make sure that I'm meeting their needs because these are the type of services that I want to sell.